that one of the things I wanted to say this morning is four points about what religion offers spirituality, which I think are very important. But in this individualistic age, each of these things are heavily discounted. First is form. It's important to give spirit form. Otherwise, people sort of waft around. And if we don't give form to our spirituality, another image that comes to mind is it disappears like the morning mist. You know, it's very present in the early morning, but by noon, everything's gone. And I fear that if our society is generating a very ephemeral, transitory spirituality that can't be passed on, for instance, to other generations, that can't be shared with others, then this is spirit without form. And spirit without form is quite dangerous in the sense that that kind of spirituality won't have an impact on society. It won't change things. It won't affect the way we live. It won't affect institutions. It'll just be ephemeral. Now, working against that, of course, is the so-called New Age movement. The New Age movement has picked up on what I would call this free-floating spirituality that's in society. It's also picked up that the spirituality has a lot in common with Eastern ideas, because in the East there's meditation so important, there's contemplation, walking exercises, and it's often to do with the individual's experience of the holy rather than the group experience of the holy, which has been the case both for Christianity and Judaism. And the New Age, I think, is trying to package various Eastern pathways and various indigenous pathways, such as the shamanic religions of North America and the shamanic religions of Asia and ancient Russia, and actually market them in weekend workshops and things like that. And although I'm sure a lot of people, I'm not one of these people who downgrade the New Age, I think it's playing an important role. Many people, we have to realise, in Australian society don't have a religious upbringing at all. And so if they have religious feelings, those religious feelings are called spirituality, and they're not necessarily attributed to any particular tradition. So I found, over the last, say, 10 or 15 years with my students at the university, that less than 10% of them actually have a religious upbringing. So in other words, if I'm to talk spirituality with them, which I try to, without getting sacked, I find that they don't have a religious memory. Unlike those of us in the room, we have religious memories. It's partly why we're at this conference. So spirituality, as it's often referred to in Australia, has amnesia. It doesn't understand where it came from. It's like all those movies where people have a car accident and then the next instant they don't understand their past or who even their name is. I'm very sympathetic to this type of person. I find that a lot of churches really misunderstand how secular Australia is. For instance, I was talking to some students earlier this year, and they said, not only am I secular, but my parents were atheists and my grandparents were atheists. They said that their grandparents were Marxists, their parents were feminists, and they are on a search. We have to talk to these people, not judge them. Just because they haven't had religious upbringings does not mean, in my view, that the presence of God is not within their reach. This is what got me banned from the Catholic Church, because the idea is that you have to be members of something in order to participate in the compassion and grace of God. My own feelings are quite different, and I think it's partly from growing up alongside Aboriginal cultures in Alice Springs that I have these feelings. Because when I grew up in Alice Springs as a boy, I went to church with my parents and family, and I noticed that there was almost all white people in the church and the black people were outside. And yet the black people seemed to me to be more Christian than the white people inside the churches. And by that I meant that they were radically involved in sharing, so that if one of them got a wage for doing something, it would be shared with their community and handed around. Whereas when we get paid, we put it in our pocket and our wallets and our bank accounts. We live very much individual lives. And Aboriginal people also have this very profound spirituality, which did affect me very much. In fact, I was recently asked to write a little autobiographical statement about growing up. And I have to say that I think I gained religion from my European, Irish and French, mainly, Irish and French background, both of which, of course, are Catholic, Ireland and France. I gained religion from my white ancestry, but from the Aboriginal people I gained spirituality. And that means that, I think spirituality to me means the presence of the sacred in the ordinary.